T-Lay, what's up? You know what? I hate that Instagram does not let me pin the comment. Oh, there we go. Pin comment. Okay. There we go. Okay, live on Facebook, live on Instagram. I think I'm live on Twitter and YouTube as well. So today's topic comes from a comment that I got from a follower on TikTok, and she made a great comment, which I thought could be a teachable moment. And I did tell her I was going to do a video on it as well. So as we're waiting for people to populate in, yes, call me. Absolutely. I'm sure we do need to talk. So yeah. Okay. So as I was saying, today's topic comes from a comment that I thought could be a teachable moment right here on my platform, from a follower on TikTok. And it was a great comment. I was like, girl, I'm gonna have to do a video about that. Okay. And so I titled today's conversation between you and I, gonna be here for about 10 minutes, how to know when to teach him and when to leave, right? When to walk away. Okay. So we are going to discuss that today. And if you have any questions as we're moving along the conversation, do you hear my dogs barking? I love having dogs. Dogs are great. Okay. But anyway, as we're having this conversation and as we're moving along, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat and I will try to get to them as I can. So anyway, my name is Reka. I'm a certified neuro-linguistic programming life coach and LP. I used to call myself the single girls life coach. Now I am deeming myself the boundaries coach, especially because I've worked with client after client after client after client. And they have told me, Rika, you teach me boundaries and self-love, right? And you know how you love yourself when you are able to set and keep a boundary pretty quickly. Don't feel bad about it. And even if you do feel bad about it, you're just like, whatever, you push through that. There's a meme that says, do it afraid or something. So it's like, okay, yeah, set a boundary afraid, but still set the boundary. I get it. As women, we do have that curse of we feel bad, right? We feel bad about setting boundaries and keeping boundaries. And so that makes us not good at it when we lean into the feeling bad. So then we don't keep the boundary. We know we want to set one, but we don't keep it, right? So one of the questions that I asked on this particular TikTok that made this follower drop this comment, and I'll read you the comment here in a second. But the question that I asked was, if you teach people how to treat you, what did you teach him? Him being the last guy you dated and the last one. What did you teach him about you when you fumbled your boundaries? Okay. So I'm going to read that again. If you teach people how to treat you, what did you teach him about you when you fumbled your boundaries? Him being the last guy you dated that was a dysfunctional relationship, okay? Because again, on my platform, I speak to women of faith, especially Black women of faith, okay? Who are in the cycle of dysfunctional relationships. For some reason, your professional life is amazing, but in this lane of relationships with men, there's a lot of frustration and pain. So I speak to that particular woman. And so that's why I asked that question. If you teach people how to treat you, what did you teach him about you when you fumbled your boundaries? Okay. That was the question that I asked. And this was the comment that I got. And I told her, I said, "Oh, girl, let's talk about it." Okay. So her comment was, quote, "I feel like I keep hearing two different things. You have to teach people how to love you, but then I hear you shouldn't have to do that." Again, great comment. Okay. And so I will say this as we go along in these next 10 minutes, it's going to require a longer conversation. I'm going to give you some tidbits, things that I use in my everyday life in these dating streets, but it's going to take a longer conversation. Also, everything is not black and white. Everything is not black and white. Okay. So you can't take one thing somebody says and then apply that to your life and think that it may work for you, especially if you don't know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you got to be careful with the advice that you're taking from people here on the internet streets. Okay. And this is why you have to do the work. So the answer to how to know when to teach him and when to leave, it comes from within you. But if you don't do the work, you're not going to know that. And that's why you have comments like this. Well, I feel like I'm hearing two different things, so I don't really know what to do. Well, you don't know what to do because you don't know who you are. When's the last time you actually took inventory of yourself? You see, you think you know who you are because you're with you 24/7, right? You can't really leave your body. But if you've never taken inventory of yourself, especially specifically in this lane, then you don't know who you are. So that's why, again, you're like, well, I hear this and I hear this and I really don't know what to do. So you got to teach yourself you. So again, not everything is black and white, but I will say this. So when it comes to, I feel like I keep hearing two different things. You have to teach people how to love you. I believe that you do to a certain level. There's levels to this thing, right? So one of the examples that I will give you in my everyday life in these dating streets is what happened to me in the last day or so on LinkedIn, of all places, right? Guy in my DMs and he's flirting with me, and it's everything about, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Can I have permission to fall in love? Blah, 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 blah. I set a boundary to just ignore him because I don't have time to teach you that that's not how I want to be spoken to. I don't have time for that because the man that I want would already know that's not how you approach a grown ass woman. We're not 25 no more. We're not 24. So you telling me I'm beautiful. It's like, okay, what else you got? You got to come differently. And so when you are speaking to me in that way, I know that you don't actually speak to women, not women who think like me. And you're probably very young. If I asked him his age, he'd probably be like 25, which I'm not. That's not in the pool of dating I'm trying to do. So that's a boundary that I set for myself because the level of access I allow men to have to me, I get to decide that. And so if you're speaking to me in that way, I'm already like, I don't want to entertain this. I don't have to. And I also hate it when men put me in a position of like, I got to respond to this BS. What do I say? Because I don't want to come off as mean. Like, I just don't even want to be in that space. So I just cut it off immediately. I don't have to have a conversation with you. Not everything deserves your attention. And when you know who you are, it is easier for you to say, that doesn't deserve my attention. Moving on. And I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it. So that is a dude that I was like, I'm going to leave. I'm not about to sit here and teach you and coach you and tell you like I'm a grown up and I need communication that is direct. So if you're interested in me, say that. Hey, you know what? I saw you out here on LinkedIn. I think you're very, very beautiful. I'm interested in getting to know you. Is that okay? And we can go from there instead of this corny, can I have I think I'm falling in love. You are so beautiful. He literally said, can I have permission to fall in love with you? Like, what are we talking about? Are we grown-ups or not? And so I cut him off. Now, here's another thing that I have done. Okay. So, especially if you, again, you have to know who you are because there's levels to this. And you and I would have to be coach and client for me to walk you through this. But another thing that she says is, but I also hear that you shouldn't have to teach men how to treat you. So here's the thing. You don't have to teach somebody how to respect you. That is like, that's a character flaw if he doesn't know how to respect you as a woman. So you don't have to do that. But when it comes to like, are you a woman who likes flowers or not? You probably have to teach that because you don't know who he's dated in the past. You don't know the women that he's that have told him like all women like flowers, because a lot of people like to speak in absolutes, which absolutes are not a thing. Again, it's not black and white, it's layers. Even the Bible talks about we're not against flesh and blood. It's like spirits and principal, like we're not down here, right? So there are some things that you are going to have to teach him about you because you're always saying, well, I ain't like the other girls. I ain't like. Okay, well, how not then? So here's an example. And I go back and forth on whether I should be doing this or not. I will say this. My homeboy Brian, who's going to be on my podcast tomorrow, we recorded the episode. That episode is how Brian created a safe space for his wife, even before she was his wife. And I asked him, I said, do you think I'm right or wrong in letting men know this? And he said I was right. He was like, I mean, it doesn't hurt nothing. So whatever. So here's what it is. I feel like in the last like year or so, since I've been back in these dating streets, I'm in this like good morning, beautiful text loop. And I'm running into a lot of men who say that they're interested, but then they don't ask me questions that would let me know that he is interested, right? And so the last two guys that I've talked to, whatever you want to call it, um, I told them that. So maybe we were like 2, 3 weeks in, and I let them know. I said, "Hey, you, Johnny, said that you were interested in me, Reka. Here is how I would know that you were interested in me. Da 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 da." And I let him know, I'm gonna need you to ask me questions, blah blah blah. Because every time you ask me, "How has your day been?" and I tell you, because I'm not the girl who be like, "Good." If somebody's like, "How's your day, Reka?" I don't be like, "Good." Not if I'm interested in you. I'm gonna be like, "Man, so this is what I did today. This is what I did. This is what I'm da, 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 details." Ask me a question about that. Don't just be like, "Okay." And let me tell you something, because I've set that boundary, because I hold myself accountable to the man that I say that I want, I have the audacity to believe that I can get a man who would actually ask me questions to show me that he was interested in me. So I'm proud of myself that I set that boundary. And I'm going to tell you what, the last two dudes I said that to, it was all the excuses in the world. Oh, well, my dad is sick. Oh, well, my son, or blah, blah, blah. All of these excuses. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. These men are probably good men. They're just not suitable for me. So that's how I know to leave. So I was like, okay, we done. Cool. That's all I needed to know. Because I'm telling you, every time you set a boundary, you hold yourself accountable to the woman you say you want to be, to get the things you say you want out of a man, out of a relationship. Every time you hold yourself accountable and set that boundary, guard your heart, they will show you who they are. And as Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. And so that is the difference. When she says, I feel like I keep hearing two different things. You have to teach people how to love you, but then I hear you shouldn't have to do that. It's levels. So it comes from you. What do you want to put up with? What do you not want to put up with? You have to decide that. What do you want to teach? What do you not want to teach? You have to decide that. Ayanna Van Zandt, our great aunt, I love her. She has this quote that says, you don't get to teach people how to love you. Or no, you don't get to teach people how to love. You get to see how they are loving. And then you decide if you want to participate or not. Because if you spend enough time getting to know somebody, I say about 3 weeks, they're going to show you who they are. They will tell on themselves. Whether it's good or bad, I'm not here to judge anybody. But you need to know who you are so you know if it's suitable for you or not. As a woman of faith, you should know that that is what God wants you to do. That is why he says, guard your heart. Don't awaken love before it's time. My people perish from lack of knowledge. There's so much on game that Jesus puts us on, that Bible puts us on, and we're just not face first in the Bible, that we out here confused and saying things like, well, I feel like I'm hearing two different things. I don't know what to do. You don't know what to do because you don't know who you are. So that's all I'm saying. You have to go on this journey of doing the work. Sound good? All right. So Single You Academy, the doors are open. The new cohort will start on June 5th. And so here's the thing. You've been following me for a while. This is for the woman who's been following me for a while. And you've been on the fence of like, oh, do I need a coach? Do I not? You will never change if you, I hate using the word never. It'll take longer for you to change if you actually don't put systems in place to help you change. So if you don't do the work, have wise counsel, which the Bible talks about, which that can come in the form of therapy, coaching, what have you. If you don't get that work, if you don't get that guidance, you're not going to change. It's going to take longer for you to change. So if you need guidance on how to hold yourself accountable, on how to keep boundaries with men, set and keep a boundary with men, so you can stop this cycle of like dysfunction that you've been having with men, this frustration, this pain that you've been having with men. Again, what do your behaviors with men? Hold on. Okay, we back on Instagram. Okay. What do your behaviors with men show you about you? And if it's not pretty, you like, I don't like it when I'm that way with men. And I don't want to be that way with men anymore. I no longer want to fumble my boundaries. then I would say you need a coach. And here's the thing, all of my clients also have therapists, but their therapist, I will say, because I'm not going to say every therapist, and I'm not throwing therapy under the bus because it is needed. I like it when they have therapy and me. When you're in therapy, you're not focused on this lane because you're not honest. You don't see yourself. A lot of us blame the men. Oh, I was treated bad and I was doing this and da 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 da, and he did this and F all men and all men, all men, all men, because you're so focused on what he did to you instead of focusing on how you allowed that to happen by fumbling your boundary. So if you are ready for a coach, all you have to do is send me the word boundaries. Send me the word boundaries. DM that to me and we can start this conversation and you and I can see if we would be a great fit as coach and client. Okay. So again, the new cohort forms June 5th. We get going. We'll be together all summer. You could be a hot girl summer putting up boundaries all summer 2022. So if we need to have a conversation, you have to let me know. So send me a DM and we will talk. All right. So I'm done. I'm going to take this video off of Instagram as I always do. If you want to hear this conversation and Single You, the podcast in itself, I will be posting this video on the podcast. So if you want to hear this because you missed it or you want to share it, you're going to have to go to Single You, the podcast. Okay. Because this will be deleted in the next 20 minutes. All right. With that, if you have any questions, send me a DM. We'll talk soon.